Hey, welcome to EDTalks with my friend Khalid. Khalid, welcome to EdTalk.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're one of the most prolific writers out there, and you're such a wonderful individual. I'm talking about your heart. And then you're also a pretty fabulous leader of technology and healthcare. So happy to have you on.
Thank you so much.
And
Honor is all mine.
Khalid, one of the things that you put out recently, and it just really resonated with me, and I think it resonated with the entire community based on all the responses you got, was something called, you wrote an article, which I'm trying to get you to write a book, and I know 4 books are coming from you. The Conference Season Special Edition, because the timing here is we just finished Vive, but this was right before Vive. How to Lose a CxO in 10 Easy Steps. Tell us about how that idea came about, and then we're going to go into each of the 10 steps.
Thank you. Thank you again for having giving me the opportunity to be here. I always enjoy chatting with you, whether on camera and off camera. So pleasure is all mine, Ed. Uh, all of us who have been somewhat active on LinkedIn, one of the dilemma of being active while we are building our brands is to be exposed to the noise. And noise is that the communication and unsolicited messages that we get. We already get about 20% of my emails. I've done some analysis that I get on my work email or unsolicited or cold emails, as they would call them. And on top of that, LinkedIn, I get like tens of messages. And there was a pattern over the years, like leading up to the conference and coming off of the conference. Those messages get really, really interesting. So I thought that going into Vive this time, I'll write something and publish. That's why I timed it right. Even though I had written this article, I believe earlier this year, I just wanted to time it with the conference so the people can relate to that. And this is basically my humble tongue-in-cheek conversation with the salespeople that reach out to not just me, but any other CIO. And hopefully this will also, even though the undertone is mostly humorous, people are going to take it seriously. And that's where this is coming from.
Yeah, that was the beauty of it, right? Because it's easier to accept truth with a little bit of honey than it is, with too much spice or what have you. So it was a perfect. So we're going to go through all 10 in the next 10 minutes. Some we'll spend more time on than others. So let's talk about the first one, the art of the copy and paste.
Yeah, these are people who inherently seems to be lazy. What they do that they will write, even with the Chat GPT and every other LLM that's out there, whether it's a Claude or anything, what they do, they write one message and copy. I've received messages. By the way, all the gems, I collect them. I'm going to talk about that very briefly towards the end of them, that some of them really stand out. And one of them was, hey, Kevin, as we met at the conference, I say, I'm not Kevin, that's a name I would probably like. And maybe if I westernize it, call it to Kevin. So it was like one copy paste that happened from everywhere and then went to pretty much everybody. And on top of that, I have also seen the conferences that I never attended. Sometimes I do register. I think many people do that, but never get a chance to do that. And we apologize to them. There was one conference that happened in the Bay Area last June. I still get messages from that as we talked over coffee in this conference, and what are your responses to our previous inquiry at the email that was sent, which never happened. So that's where the copy and paste is coming from.
Yeah, and that kind of leads into number 2, demonstrate complete lack of research. Yeah, so I saw you at HIMSS, but you actually weren't even there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that happens a lot actually.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable, and it's like when an artist. This is a little bit more forgiving, but when an artist is on the road, a musical artist, and they're in Dallas, and they say, "I love you, Denver." You're like, "No, we are Dallas. That's our identity is Dallas." So even though that's big deal, it is a big deal. Mastering the conference follow-up blitz. What's that about?
Yeah, this happens a lot, actually, most common. And that actually happens leading up to the conference and also after the conference. So if I pick up my phone now and I was looking at some of the app that we are using, why the messages keep coming, this gift that keeps giving, which will be that, Khalid, we're going to meet you tomorrow. And whether we met or not, if we met, then it's better. Sometimes without even meeting, you will get a follow-up that we met in this conference and this happened. That was number 1, as we discussed. And there will be like a persistence, probably in their mind is the resilience, as they say that sales is respect and relationship and resilience. So they actually drop the first 2 R's. They stick with the third one, which is resilience. So the first day, hey, I met with you. I'm getting some of the messages I'm looking down here in my phone. There was that, well, This has been like fourth day we haven't heard back from you. I'm still recovering from the conference. And by the way, all of us CIOs have jobs to do. So even when you're at the conference, it's not like we are 100% present there. We hide somewhere and take a call here and there. We respond to our emails. And by the time we come back, we are generally about 24 hours of work behind, if not more. So it means that we are trying to catch up, going through the emails, responding to the people, calling to the people. And in that, every day there's an email. What happened yesterday? Have you gotten a chance? Even this morning, honestly, there was a third email that says, have you gotten a chance to look into the previous email? And I'm just quickly doing that and putting them in the wait inbox. It definitely has a value. I don't want to create this animosity against sell people. They are doing a service to us. In the end, if they have some good product and service, it's going to help me. It's going to help my organization. It's going to help my patients. But until we get there, there's a lot of time that is vested in this follow-up bullets.
Yeah, and that kind of relates to number 4. And we'll put these in the link in the show notes so they can get all these again. Embrace the spray and pray philosophy, right? They're getting the same message as all other 10,000 people. And you already talked about the guilt game a little bit, where it's like, hey, I haven't heard from you. How come you haven't gotten back to me? I was trying. I was waiting for you forever. What about number 6, leverage your complete ignorance of healthcare? How does that show up?
Yeah, that happens a lot. And this happens more on the LinkedIn side. And so often on my Outlook inbox too. Like even now, pandemic has been officially over. It's been 3 years from the peak of pandemic. I still get emails to buy the masks and other, we never bought, like IT never buys. It's an operational thing. So that's just a, a low-end example. The other one going to be that I get like bunch of messages on my LinkedIn where I need to do a custom app development for this and that. Generally people are familiar with the healthcare. Most of the time we are buy versus build mode. We never build unless there's an extreme reason. Like pandemic is one time when we had to do some custom build because some programs could not be supported within our existing EMRs and the software. So the people would sell you things that are never used in healthcare, from the actually hardware, as I was saying, the masks, all the way to like every morning I wake up, there's an email from offshore company to build me an app. I'm not building. And sometimes I'm kind enough, honestly, to tell them that I work for healthcare and we don't have this need for these kind of services, but they will continue to do that anyway.
What about name drop competitors? That's number 7. Name drop competitors incorrectly.
Yeah, that is if they heard about Epic or Cerner and they are talking about revenue cycle automation, and they will come up with some application name that Salesforce happens, by the way, very commonly. Salesforce has solved this problem of customer engagement, and now we have the solution based on Salesforce that's going to work for you. And I say, well, number one, if you even did a high-level research, we are not consumers for Salesforce. We don't have in our shop any application for that. We are pretty much Epic shop. We use SAP for the ERP and other side. We have a few other products, but we don't use Salesforce. And they continue to sell me this Salesforce. That's why they are doing. And they, by the way, name dropping happens in 2 ways. One is about the product or the vendor. One is also from the organization. Like I am a public sector organization, safety net, very limited resources and a lot of things to do. And they'll tell me, Stanford spent $5 million to build this solution that can solve your problems. I don't have $5 million. You're wasting your time and my time.
Yeah, I'm laughing because I've gotten all those emails multiple times. What about master the art of false urgency?
Yeah, that happens more on the product side. We have this revenue cycle automation bot that reduces your errors by 99.9%. And if you place an order by next Monday, we will give you 20% discount or 50% discount. Not realizing that how complicated the procurement cycles are in healthcare, both in public and the private. But public is really notorious for that. We have this internal joke that by the time we approve a technology that has already gotten obsolete, because our procurement cycles are long drawn. Sometimes it takes a year to bring in a solution. We are working on some of those RFPs for past 8 months. We are still not there yet. And There are various reasons for that. And this gentleman wants to sell me, make a quick sell and give me 20% discount on that one.
Showing off your LinkedIn stalking skills.
Yeah, that actually recently has happened often. One of the quickest one I'll tell you, it is that the message, if I had spent 5 minutes, I will be able to dig it up because it's very recent. It was that we saw that you engaged on our content recently. So they inferred from that that I'm really interested in them. I may have just liked the message, not the product or service they are selling. So I must have a need for their product, and here are the specs, and here I need to engage with them. So that happens too. Somehow, I know maybe I personally not aware that how LinkedIn would be sharing that information until you actually click on something. But the users who have Sales Navigator, I believe they get some numbers behind the scenes, so they know that Khalid was on our page. So let's haunt him.
All right. And then the last one, number 10, and I have a bonus one to add, but number 10, the breakup message. Yeah, tell us about this one.
Yeah, this is actually coincides with the false urgency too. Honestly, being a person, the type of person I am, I really feel guilty at the time. That person, I sent you 10 emails, but since you are busy and I think that you don't see a value in my product, so I'm leaving. But if you had change of heart, please call me on this number. So that happens a lot too. But after like 10 emails of developing the applications, all of these actually that we went through are connected. But one thing that has happened, because I'll let you to finish with your, I'll tell you one thing that's not written here. It happens more often because not necessarily a sales tactic. It's more like on the service side. And by the way, this happens 3 to 4 times a year to me, which is, and the recent one was only like 2 weeks ago, where my team advertises, because we also have an elaborate process of publishing the requisition for staff. I needed a PM for a project that I'm working on. And this company reached out to me directly if I would like to apply for that job. That is a PM job on my, so they didn't bother that who I am, where I work, and I may be executive. I don't think that is a big deal. I have worked as a PM for many, many years of my career. That's a job that I love to do, but now is not the time. And on top of that, Ed, I just played along. I say, yeah, I'm really interested in this job. Can you send me the specs? And the person actually did. So they followed up. So they did not recover from their mistake. They actually sent me the details. This is the job. This is the location. This is the hourly rate that they can offer and things like that.
Yeah. And the two, and I know other people added on your, because you asked people, hey, what in your story? But I just remember too that when I talk about it, I just still can't believe that anyone would think like this. And one is, and this happened recently again, where they realize who you are. Oh, you're a potential buyer. And they pull out their phone or if they have their iPad with them and they want to show you your product. So this was at a reception. So this was at Vive at a reception. I'm with a CIO friend and they realize, oh, CIO buyer. And the gentleman pulls out his phone, and then he did have an iPad in his pack and wanted to start showing the product. I mean, so we told him, we were very kind to him because he was a young person and probably hasn't been well trained. And we just told him, it's good to be proud of your product and what you represent, but there's a time and place, and you're actually going to, doing something like this, you'll never get a sale out of that. And number two, they'll never want to work with you. When they see you coming, they're going to turn the other way because of your approach. And then the second thing, which I couldn't believe how long this went on, but it's almost like harassment. I was with Chris Ross at the time. He was CIO of Mayo Clinic, and we were at a conference and a reception, and I noticed everyone had left, right? The reception had died down, but Chris and I had a lot to catch up on, and then we had to go somewhere and do a book signing or something. So we were the last two to walk out, and this person came up, and Chris was very kind with her, saying, again, hey, that's great. I'm glad to hear about your product. Please send me something. Share his email address. Send it to me. I can't talk right now. We're at reception. Now we're going to go to this book signing. And she kept persisting and persisting and persisting. And Chris is, like yourself, the nicest gentleman. But after like what seemed like 5 minutes, and we were just scrambling to get to an elevator and not let her on the elevator with us, he was pretty agitated. And it was like, wow, who trained that person? Why would they think that way? It's unbelievable. So, Khalid, give us one word of wisdom that you would say. We kind of, it's kind of tongue in cheek, but in all seriousness, we shared like 12 things never to do. What's one thing that maybe someone should do? What would be a better approach?
Know your customer before reaching out to them. And there'll be a lot of work involved behind that, but that's the homework they have to do before reaching out. That will make the communication really meaningful and engaging.
Totally. That's wisdom right there. If you make the effort, and we could both probably share stories, there's no time on this particular episode, but I know we both have stories where someone took that effort. We respected the effort. I remember one case, I listened to the person, not because I had interest in their product and service, but because I respected what they did. And later on, they actually did get some business with our healthcare system some time ago. Yeah, I think if you put in that work, that hard work in the background, it'll pay off much better than spray and pray and all the other techniques that we covered. Khalid,
That's right.
you're a wonderful guest. Thank you for being on, and thank you for sharing your wisdom.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure talking with you.